Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! Backstory. My dad is a high school assistant principal. It's currently his first year in a new school, and it's a much better school than the last one he was at, which was overpopulated, drug-filled, and many of the students there had to have free or reduced lunches. There were fights almost every week, and my dad had to suspend kids almost every day. His new school is much better. It was just 2 incidents all year. One was an autistic kid who had an episode, and the one I'm about to tell you find Redditors about. To clarify, any dialogue I might include will obviously not be 100% correct. The original incident took place about a month ago, and I'm not 100% sure what started it, but either the bus driver accidentally bumped into the entitled girl while he was dropping her off, or he told out the entitled girl for saying something rude, but the entitled girl got pissed and texted the entitled mother about it. Her entitled mother came out of her home and started yelling at the bus driver, who just drove off. The next morning, the bus driver went to pick up the entitled girl, but when he got to her driveway, she wasn't there. But her entitled mother, brother and sister were. The bus driver opened the door to ask where the entitled girl was, and then her mother, brother and sister all boarded the bus. The entitled girl is a junior, I think. Her older entitled brother was around 22, and her older entitled sister was in college. These people were all adults, and all 3 of them started screaming at the poor bus driver, threatening him and calling him slurs and telling him off. The rest of the kids on the bus were expectedly scared. The moment the entitled mother, brother and sister got off, the bus driver sped away. The one thing the entitled family forgot to think about was the fact that there are 4 HD cameras equipped with audio sensors on every bus in our county. They caught everything. The poor bus driver got the rest of the kids to school and went straight to the front office. My dad, the assistant principal, was pissed. He got the video feed from the bus, got the school cop, who called some other cops, and had the entitled mother arrested for malicious harassment, intimidation, trespassing, and a few other things. My dad's principal let my dad, the assistant principal, have control over the whole situation because he knows my dad doesn't mess around with these kinds of things. Dad had the entitled girl switch to a different bus route, had the entitled brother and sister and the entitled mother permanently banned from the school grounds, and he gave the bus driver a month of paid time off. Working with the school system's lawyer, my dad got statements from most of the kids who were on the bus, and they decided to press charges against only the entitled mother and brother. The entitled brother had apparently been in the middle of a 6-month probationary period for a different crime, so he was essentially guaranteed jail time. Going into the trial 2 weeks ago, nobody expected the entitled mother to get any more jail time than a week, if that. The assistant principal and the school cop were in the courthouse in case they needed to be called as witnesses. They were not. The school lawyer made his remarks, and their lawyer just tried to reduce the entitled mother's sentence down. He knew they were going to lose. The videos weren't even shown to the judge because there was so much other than evidence. The judge surprised everyone when he gave the entitled mother a 30-day sentence. He made it very clear to the entitled mother that she had threatened the life of a man, endangered kids, and trespassed on school property. All of that for no reason besides the bus driver had told off the entitled girl, and that she should be punished accordingly. The assistant principal was trying not to cheer, but that wasn't even the best part. The entitled brother skipped his trial. They were back-to-back, so there is no way he could have forgotten. The judge issued a pinch warrant for the entitled brother's arrest. He was caught the next day in the entitled mother's house, and when brought in front of a judge, was given a year in prison for breaking his probation, skipping his trial, and for the same charges as the entitled mother. As for the entitled girl, she switched schools. Assistant principal has told this story to almost everyone he knows, as he finds the karma hilarious. Backstory: my dad is an electrician in Germany and the employees of the company drive white Mercedes vans. I noticed that he was driving an apprentice car, a smaller car that the apprentice uses for going to school and work sites. On to the story. My dad was driving through Berlin when he was hit by a guy in an expensive car. The guy came up to my dad and tried to give him money and just let this incident slide. But he notices that my dad is on the phone with the police. He goes to his car and drives off. When the police arrive, the officer notices that the license plate of the guy is sticking to the bumper of my dad's car. The police take statements from my dad and bystanders. The revenge. My dad's boss decided to sue the guy because my dad had around 8,000 euro of stock in the car, which got destroyed. Turns out he had committed some other crimes, causing the incident, destroying the stock. My dad was carrying lamps with glass covers, driving without a license. They caught him about 100 meters down the road. DUI, resisting arrest, driving without TUV. In Germany, your car has to be checked every 2 years. In the end, the guy had to pay around 12,000 euros in damages and fines. Since some people seem to get the wrong impression as to why I did all those other things to my mother as payback, she's extremely narcissistic, blatantly favored my sister to the point of letting her get away with anything she did to me unless my father got involved. Hit me as hard as she could to the point I couldn't even sit down for no reason on several occasions. Would snap her fingers and order me around like a dog. Let my sister steal money I earned from doing chores and odd jobs around the area and took her on shopping sprees with said money. Tried to send me to military school behind my father's back when I refused to let her beat me anymore. And more recently tried to force me to give the house I inherited from my now deceased father to my pregnant sister. This story happened over 15 years ago, just before I moved out of my mom's house during my parents' divorce. She'd been extra callous to me during that time, and I wanted some payback. So I did several petty pranks to her and my sister around the house before I moved in with my dad, many of which I posted about, but by this time I was running out of ideas, though I had one in particular that I was saving for last. My mother, aside from her love of wine, also brewed a homemade alcoholic honey lemon iced tea that she just loved to guzzle, especially on Friday evenings after work. She kept a pitcher of it in the fridge that she refilled every so often, and the night she was so drunk she passed out in the hall and soiled herself gave me an idea. I went to a drugstore that was across town where nobody knew me and found a small bottle of potent liquid laxative that was odorless, tasteless, and mixed with any beverage. I pretended to be very constipated at the register just for the sake of acting. When I got home, I carefully removed the same amount of tea from the pitcher and then poured the whole bottle of laxative into Mom's special iced tea. Added a tiny bit more sugar and stirred it up. From that point, all I had to do was wait. That evening, after Mom came home from work, she went to the fridge and poured herself a big and tall glass of her special home-brewed iced tea. She downed the first one pretty quick on the spot and then refilled it. Then she just sat watching TV on the sofa, which was white leather by the way. I watched as she started shuffling about, and even heard a loud gurgling noise at one point, but she kept drinking the tea. I pretended to be concerned and asked if she was okay since she looked like she was sweating and couldn't sit still. Mom stubbornly played it off and then suddenly winced as one of the most horrid sounds I've ever heard came out of her backside. She screamed, "Oh God, no!" dropped what was left of the glass of tea and ran for the bathroom. She soiled herself so hard some of it went through her clothes and onto the couch. My mom ran into the master bathroom and started wailing as she took the biggest dump of her life. If anyone here knows that bathroom scene from the movie Dumb and Dumber, It was a lot like that crossed with a certain funny scene from that first talk and the Power of Juju video game. Mom didn't come out of the bathroom for over 2 hours. And when she finally did, she was wearing her bathrobe because she's just taken a shower. Her hair was a mess and she looked completely flushed. I cleaned up the mess she made on the couch, but she insisted on having the couch professionally cleaned, which was fine with me because that was her favorite spot to sit in the living room, and she refused to sit there till the couch was cleaned the way she'd wanted. But then the funny thing is, she actually poured herself another glass of the iced tea, and that wound her back right in the bathroom. And she even took the tea with her. She was literally feeding the fire. After that, she didn't come out again and had an absolutely miserable night. Thank God my dad was sleeping at a motel because he was divorcing mom. The master bathroom was connected to the master bedroom, and the smell downstairs had me and my sister gagging. The next day, mom felt so bad that she called in to take leave from work for the next few days because her bowels were going crazy and she got no sleep. Just to be safe, I checked the pitcher to see how much tea was left and it was nearly gone. So I figured I was in the clear, but then here is the other crazy thing. The next day at school, my sister nearly soiled herself in class and had to run for the girls' room. Then asked to be sent home sick because of diarrhea. Apparently, she'd been sneaking some of mom's special iced tea because it had alcohol in it. I smuggled what was left in the pitcher to school with her in a thermos. This clued my mom in that there was something wrong with the tea, and had me thoroughly wash the pitcher and throw away the various ingredients she used to make it because she was afraid the pitcher or the tea ingredients were somehow contaminated. My sister also got in trouble for stealing alcohol. I'd almost never seen my mom chew out my sister for being bad. But this was one of those rare times. She said she was grounded and sent her to her room crying. But of course she immediately forgave her the next day and just told her not to do it again. Which, as far as I know, she didn't. I was smart enough not to dispose of the laxative bottle in a trash at our house or keep it in my room. I tossed it the same day I used it at a random trash can while out riding my bike. And when I bought it, I was wearing an old coat, hat and sunglasses, so likely no one recognized me. I told my father years later that I was the one responsible for what happened back then, and he started cackling. He said I shouldn't have done it, but it was just too funny not to laugh at. My sister also knows about what I did now, as I told her before writing this story. She said she doesn't care because it was a long time ago and taught her a lesson not to try and steal booze anyway. My mother still doesn't know it was me, and my sister and I don't plan on ever telling her. Late 90s, my grandparents had left a house behind on Walnut Avenue in West Seattle. As much as I wanted to live there, it was to be sold and divided among surviving relatives. Estate planner said the house would have been currently worth well over $1 million. Will go for $350K, but might take some time. I knew the lady across the street wanted to buy the property and rent it out to keep builders from erecting a 3-story unit that would block her view of Seattle. I knocked on her door and told her we were selling and asked if she was interested. She tried to lowball me at $250K and I said no thanks. Even if it took a while, we would get the full value. She told me to my face that I was stupid if I thought I was going to get that much. This pissed me off, as I knew the property alone with an unobstructed Seattle view was worth a pretty penny. So I started knocking on neighbors' doors, letting them know the property was about to be listed, figuring someone would want another property on the same block. I sold a house on the 5th person that answered their door. Deal was done in a matter of days, and I received a commission for the sale. The across-the-street neighbor, who lowballed me, called me up furious that I didn't give her a chance to match the price. I said, "You told me I was stupid for asking for that price, and that made me want to sell it to prove you wrong." And then I hung up. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.